Racist passenger demands black girl's seat be removed, freezes when her dad flashes his FBI badge. Get this kid out of here, first class isn't a charity. The shrill command ricochets through the cabin as Margaret Whitfield Diamonds, glittering beneath fluorescent lights, looms over 17-year-old Kara Williams. Passengers freeze mid-stow and turn phones half-drawn as the governor's wife slams a manicured finger against Kara's boarding pass. My husband prosecutes people for breakfast. One call and you're back by the toilets. Kara's lips tremble for a beat, then steady. This is 2A, ma'am, she answers, voice soft but firm, seatbelt already buckled. Margaret's laughter is a blade. She grabs the headrest, leans in close enough for Kara to smell her overpriced perfume, and hisses, "Window seats are for people who matter. Move." Across the aisle, a businessman raises his phone, red record light blinking. A flight attendant hustles forward, apology rehearsed, but eyes burning. The air feels thinner now, pressurized not by altitude, but by raw contempt. Kara's fingers tighten around her phone. Should she text her dad or prove she doesn't need saving? 5 rows away, the cockpit door cracks open and the pilot steps out, but the real storm is striding up the jetway this very second. Anthony Walker, director of presidential protection and furious father. The cabin is about to learn what instant justice sounds like. Seen enough entitlement to make your blood boil. Smash that. Like if you'd boot bigotry off the plane right now, slam subscribe so you don't miss the payback, that's seconds away, and drop no racism, plus your flag in the comments to show where justice is watching from. Buckle up, this ride turns humiliation into high-altitude karma, and you've got a front row seat. Kara Williams has mastered the art of filling empty chairs. At 17, she glides from AP chemistry to debate semifinals, then home to a silent dining room where her father's plate stays pristine, the steak congealing while she reheats leftovers alone. Straight-A report cards line the fridge like trophies. No one has time to applaud. Her friends binge reality shows. Kara learns Greek on an app because Dad once promised they would watch a Santorini sunset together. Just us, kiddo. No red alerts, no bodyguards. 5 cancellations later, the phrase feels like folklore, but tonight the tickets are real first-class seats, 2A and 2B Athens, via Ho Chi Minh City. She dares hope this time the universe won't overwrite the plan. Anthony Tony Walker strides through that universe with a badge that can stop elevators mid-floor. At 48, he is the youngest director of presidential protection in Secret Service history, a living firewall with a concealed carry smile. His phone rings at 2A. M and national security nightmares wait for his command. Every success headline, assassination plot thwarted, is a birthday he missed, a recital he watched on a government laptop at 30,000 feet. Guilt needles him harder than any assassin's bullet, and the Santorini trip is his field operation to win back the years that duty stole. At Tansan, not Kara clocks her father's tells, suit pressed but tie slightly off-center. He dressed in the car, smile bright, but eyes scanning exits, never not working. Still, he squeezes her shoulders, and for a moment, he's just dad, not a walking classified file. They pass blinking departure boards and VIP lounges that smell of teak and hush money. Body scanners ping agents salute, but Tony's attention stays glued to Kara's face as she gushes about blue-roofed chapels and sunsets that bleed into the Aegean like watercolor. He laughs, an unarmored sound she's heard maybe 5 times since middle school, and something inside her unclenches. Boarding begins. First class is a leather-scented bubble of privileged business tycoons, scrolling futures markets, influencers, angle-tilting ring lights, a senator's aide already drafting hot takes. Kara stores her carry-on textbooks, camera, and a stuffed seahorse. Dad won her at an amusement park when she was 8, then sinks into 2A window seat prime view of the tarmac ballet. Tony claims 2B pockets buzzing, but she catches him switching the device to airplane mode like a knight sheathing a sword. Equal parts relief and suspicion twist in her chest. Old promises have a high casualty rate. 10 minutes before pushback, a suited agent appears at the curtain, murmurs code words, and Tony's jaw tightens. Kiddo, I owe the duty desk a signature. 10 minutes tops. Kara's smile wavers. He clasps her hand warm, steady, then vanishes down the jetway, flanked by whispers of, "That's him right," The one who alone Kara opens her journal, a habit therapist recommended. She sketches the cabin, 12 seats, $4 million of wristwatches, 3 passengers already filming TikToks. Her pen hovers over a blank paragraph titled, "Reasons This Trip Will Actually Happen." She's stuck at number 1 when Margaret Whitfield barrels aboard. Margaret is 38, but dresses to be noticed from orbit fuchsia pantsuit, stretched over curated curves heels like architectural weapons perfume that hits like a non-lethal chemical agent. She is also the wife of Governor Clay Whitfield, currently polling as the next Attorney General. Margaret's worldview starts and ends with reserved parking and waived fees. One glance at Kara's dark skin against the cream leather, and the woman's smile chars into disgust. Before confrontation ignites, meet the supporting cast who will orbit the explosion: Linh Tran, 29, senior flight attendant, daughter of Vietnamese refugees, patience weaponized by customer service training. Captain Andreas Marcos, ex-Hellenic Air Force logbook, thicker than a law textbook, allergic to drama, but uncompromising on protocol. And 3 plainclothes agents, Nguyen Carter Lopez, peppered among business travelers, invisible until they decide otherwise. Their assignments shadow the director discreetly during his vacation. Backstory-loaded stakes primed Kara's longing for undivided paternal time versus Margaret's ironclad conviction that money beats morals. The stage is tiny, 2 square meters of cabin floor, yet the collision will echo through press briefings and social feeds before wheels even leave the runway. Kara's draft list trembles as Margaret's shadow falls across seat 2A, diamond bracelet glinting like a warning shot. The flight clock shows T-3 minutes to door close. All Kara wants is her father beside her sunrise over the Aegean, and maybe proof that hard work outranks prejudice. What she's about to get is the raw physics of entitlement meeting federal authority at point-blank range. Margaret plants her Louis Vuitton tote on the aisle armrest like a territorial flag. "Sweetheart, you're in my window," she announces, tone syrup thick with condescension, yet loud enough to ping every AirPod in the cabin. Kara keeps her eyes on the safety card, heartbeat sprinting. "Seat 2A is printed on my boarding pass, ma'am." Margaret plucks the pass from Kara's hand without permission, scans it, then thrusts it back as if it carries contagion. Printing mistakes happen. Slide over. Phones begin tilting. A rustle of digital voyeurism sweeps first class. Kara offers her own version of armor silence, but Margaret treats silence as surrender. "I have a window fetish," the woman huffs. "Motion sickness, vertigo, you name it. Governor's wife can't be puking on voters' right." She forces a brittle laugh, seeking co-conspirators. No one obliges. Linh Tran steps in, professional smile, set to do, not break. "May I see your ticket, Mrs. Whitfield?" Margaret's rings clack against her phone as she fumbles before producing the card. "Seat 2C aisle" in bold black ink. Lynn's verdict is gentle but final. Miss Williams is correctly seated. You're in 2C. A pause as Margaret's brain refuses the data. Then the volume knob twists. "Listen, Lynn, was it? I donate more to airline packs in a year than your salary. Make this right." Kara feels the eyes the influencer live streaming to Karen's gone wild, the hedge fund guy, calculating ad revenue of the eventual clip. She tightens her grip on the stuffed seahorse in her lap, wondering why stuffed animals don't work as panic buttons at 17. Margaret refocuses on her. "Did you buy that seat yourself?" Doubtful. "Probably a charity upgrade, right? I paid full fare." Kara could quote her father's visa statement: price of 2 first-class tickets could fund a semester at Yale, but chooses restraint. "My dad purchased my ticket, yes. Is he even on board?" Margaret sneers, scanning for a black man she can belittle. "Figures." Lynn interjects, "Mrs. Whitfield, once boarding closes, I can check for any spare windows." Margaret slashes the air. "I'm not sitting next to a liar." Neck veins pulse crimson. Move her to economy, and you keep your job. The cabin temperature drops despite climate control. Lynn's smile fractures. Corporate policy dictates de-escalation, but racism rewrites rules in real time. She repeats slower, "Ms. Williams is entitled to remain where she is." Margaret leans in, perfume, suffocating. "Look here, little girl. My husband prosecutes people who forge documents. One call, and you'll be in handcuffs before drink service." Kara's cheeks heat not from shame, but chemical rage. She unlocks her phone drafts dad harassment in cabin. It's ugly, but I'm okay. Don't want to ruin the trip. Her thumb hovers over send trembling. She hits save instead. Row 4. Agent Carter notes the flash of Margaret's anger, types a silent update to Walker's secure line, then resumes the facade of a bored salesman. Margaret isn't finished. Show me proof you belong in first-class bank statement, anything. Oh, wait, privacy right. She laughs again, louder, expecting applause. 20 feet forward, the cockpit door clicks open. Captain Andreas steps out, silver hair eyes like cockpit instruments. Is there a safety issue, ma'am? Margaret flips to performance mode. Captain, I have an actual medical condition. I need the window. Your staff is refusing a simple swap with this individual. She doesn't say the slur, but it hangs neon and poisonous. Captain Andreas glances at Kara's composed profile, then back at Margaret. Our manifest shows no medical accommodation request. If you're ill, we can have medical personnel. I'm fine if I get my window. Margaret snaps. Otherwise, I want her removed. As a taxpayer, I demand a teenager across the aisle coughs, Karen camera rolling. Margaret whirls, but the witness feigns innocence. Lynn's radio crackles boarding door scheduled to close. Delay fees loom. She tries compromise. Mrs. Whitfield, let's take your seat for now. After takeoff, we'll explore. I don't negotiate with employees, Margaret shrills. I command. Kara's stomach knots. She remembers debate coach advice, never meet rage with rage, but the words scorch her throat. I'm not moving because you're loud. Margaret's eyes flare predator red. She grips Kara's armrest so hard, acrylic nails creak. Little girl, people like me built this country. People like you ought to remember your place. Whispers ripple. Did she really say that? Lynn positions herself between them. Ma'am, step back now. Margaret straightens face, porcelain smooth. She taps her smartwatch, speaks, so everyone hears. Clay Honey flight crew disrespected me. Passenger refuses to relocate. Call the airline's CEO, yes now. She ends before a reply arrives, certain the bluff will scare peasants. It scares no one. Even the senator's aide looks disgusted. Row 7. Agent Lopez relays code subject escalating. Recommend contact principal. In a sterile conference room 3 gates away, Tony Walker scans the mobile alert. Line after line, verbal harassment. Racial angle, threatening removal. Daughter maintaining composure. Every protective instinct detonates. He signs a contingency memo with one stroke, slides the dossier to Deputy Director Huang. You've got the briefing. I've got a daughter under fire. Back in 2A, Kara breathes through a memory exercise count, rivets around the window, trace the curve, exhale. She feels tiny, but refuses to fold. Margaret turns to the gallery of recording phones, craving allies. You all saw she assaulted me, right? No one corroborates. Fine lawsuit for the whole airline. Captain Andreas confers with Lynn. Cabin rulebook hits a wall. Racism isn't an armrest dispute. He radios ground. Possible unruly passenger. Stand by security. Margaret hears security and doubles down. You dare threaten the governor's wife, headlines will bury this airline. Kara's phone buzzes dad, on the way. Stay calm, proud of you. Just 4 words, but they brace her spine like steel rods. Doorway to first-class. Lynn's colleague, Hoa, hits the pause all button on the intercom, halting boarding music. The silence booms louder than any PA. Margaret senses power slipping. She shouts to no one, and everyone. First-class tickets cost more than some people earn in a year. Respect the hierarchy? A gray-haired woman in 1D mutters, hierarchy went out with powdered wigs. Applause flickers, hope sparks in Kara's chest. Security officers arrive at the forward galley, discreet but visible. Andreas briefs them quickly. They nod, waiting. Margaret misreads the hush as capitulation. She thrusts her tote at Kara's lap. Hold this while I take my seat. The bag lands with a thud, nearly crushing the seahorse. Kara flinches, anger finally slipping its leash. I'm not your porter. Margaret smirks. Then ring the call button, darling. A chime rings, but not from Kara. It's Lynn summoning the purser. Protocol escalates once the purser reports a passenger jeopardizing safety. Removal becomes a real option. Margaret consults her watch again, voice shrill into imaginary reception. Clay, they're ganging up because I'm a strong woman. Use the emergency number. She pockets the watch, certain cavalry is en route. 10 rows back, tech investor Morimoto livestreams, caption Governor's wife melts down on VN717. Hearts flood the screen. Kara exhales, opens her draft, hovers the finger again, then sees a silhouette at the cabin door, tall, broad-shouldered, familiar gait, cutting through curtain shadows. Relief floods her chest even before faces turn. Passengers feel it too, like barometric pressure crashing. The businessman filming lowers his phone instinctively. Agent Carter sits straighter. Security officers pivot toward the silhouette with sudden respect. Margaret notices none of it. She's too busy rehearsing her next threat to the airline's board. The silhouette steps into LED light. Anthony Walker, suit still, immaculate eyes, volcanic. He scans for Kara. Their gazes lock. A silent, "I'm here" transfers years of missed birthdays into present strength. He moves down the aisle. Agent Lopez rises 2 rows back. Carter mirrors. Nguyen uncrosses legs. The cabin coordinates like muscle memory Secret Service choreography, invisible to the untrained. Kara feels a visceral click, the universe finally aligning. Margaret senses movement, half turns lips, forming yet another demand, then freezes instincts, whispering she may have poked the wrong bear. The climax is seconds away, but for now, tension stretches like piano wire between the woman drunk on borrowed power and the man who owns real power by the ton. Phones lift again, red lights blinking. Every lens waits to witness what happens when entitlement meets the director of presidential protection, and every heartbeat in row 2 drums the same question: how high can karma fly before it hits? Anthony Walker's war room is a windowless cube, 3 gates away, fluorescent glare, tactical maps, 8 agents mid-briefing on chatter around Athens. He should be explaining drone threat protocols, but his phone detonates with secure pings, racial incident targeting Kara. Passenger escalating. Captain requesting options. 3 photos flash up, Kara pressed against the window, a pearl-clad woman crowding her phones everywhere. The father punches through the director's armor in 1 heartbeat. He kills the projector, palms it flat. Deputy Huang, you have command. Threat matrix. Alpha remains, but civilian profile just changed. The agents catch the shift, voice clipped, eyes forged steel. They know those micro tells the director's daughter just hit DEFCON 1. He lays out orders like dominoes, swift, silent, lethal, only if absolutely forced. Phase 1, contain. Huang routes a discreet VIP child compromised alert to airport security, override any attempt by local police to storm the jetway and create a headline. Phase 2, eyes inside. Walker opens a private comms channel, 3 taps, and the laptops of agents Carter, Lopez, and Nguyen in seats 4D, 7A, 8C vibrate. Message: elevated posture, no reveal, wait for my mark. Each agent adjusts posture minutely, jacket unbuttoned for faster draw, earpiece volume up, but remains the picture of casual travelers. Phase 3, mirror the bully. He calls the governor's direct line, gets voicemail. Perfect. Clay, Tony Walker. Your wife is harassing my minor child on VN717. Recommend you watch the in-cabin live streams before commenting in tomorrow's press gaggle. Walker out. He leaves the recording alive for subpoena. Evidence is oxygen. Phase 4, public lesson, private mercy. This won't be a cuff and drag. That would feed Margaret Whitfield's martyr complex and hand tabloid pundits a chew toy. Walker's aim is surgical humiliation. Expose entitlement. Disarm it. Reseat it in row 34E, next to the lav, then redirect the spotlight onto the grace his daughter shows under fire. Karma delivered, civility-modeled cameras rolling. He snaps the service sig beneath his jacket but clicks safety on. Violence isn't the currency today, authority is. 1 breath to steady the storm inside, then a nod to Lopez over comms. Clock starts now. Door closes in 7. Lopez texts back a single emoji stopwatch while casually asking the flight attendant for sparkling water eyes, never leaving Margaret's widening sphere of chaos. Walker strides out, trench coat flaring like punctuation at the hallway's end. TSA brass hustle beside him, offering escorts. He waves them off. I need a clear jetway and 0 announcements. Power doesn't advertise. It arrives. At the Jet Bridge security station, he signs a 1-line override. Authorize re-entry director USSS Walker. The guard's jaw drops. doors buzz. Walker steps into recycled cabin air, hears the tremor of a woman weaponizing her last ounce of privilege. Governor's office will own this airline and knows the timing is perfect. Final prep, he taps wrist mic. Ghosts stand. In 4D, Carter folds his newspaper in 7A. Lopez uncrosses legs in 8C Nguyen pockets. Earbuds, 3 motionless chess pieces, suddenly alive. Passengers feel it even if they can't name it. Tension tilts. Walker squares shoulders, visualizes the path aisle, centerline direct eye contact with Kara. First anchor, her then address, Captain dismantle Margaret's threats, one clause at a time. He will make her apologize to the girl she tried to erase, then trade her first-class cushion for a middle seat donated to a post-op grandmother. Swift, theatrical, undeniably just. 2 last thoughts hammer through his skull as he parts the curtain. Don't let rage drive the script Kara's watching. And when this plane lands, leave the badge in the hotel safe. She deserves 13 days of Dad Not Director. Showtime. Anthony Walker parts the curtain, and the cabin inhales as one organism sensing a predator. 6'2" shoulders squared, suit-cut razor-clean eyes, scanning like radar dishes on silent swivel. He doesn't speak yet. His presence alone drags every loose thread of conversation into hush. Behind him, 3 plainclothes agents rise in flawless sync, just enough to mark territory, not enough to panic civilians. The phones that have been filming in secret come up higher. Nobody wants to miss the moment the hammer meets glass. Walker's gaze lands first on Kara. Her chin lifts in inch-brown eyes, flooding with relief that almost breaks him. He answers with the subtlest nod. "You're safe." Only then does he pivot to Margaret Whitfield, still planted in the aisle power stance, crumbling under scrutiny. She doesn't understand. Captain Walker says, voice low but engineered to carry, "I'm Director Walker, Presidential Protection." Captain Andreas blinks once recognition confirmed, then steps aside like a chess piece, sliding clear of checkmate. Walker turns to Lynn. "Thank you for securing my child's seat. I'll take it from here." Margaret recovers her script. "Oh, fantastic," she crows, mistaking his courtesy for alignment. "Maybe you can explain to these employees how first-class priority works." She flashes a smile, meant for photo ops, not realizing she is the photo op. "I simply require the window for medical reasons, and this individual refuses to accommodate a lady." Walker's brow remains neutral, but a dangerous stillness thickens around him. "Medical?" he repeats. "Vertigo." Margaret nods vigorously. "Precisely. My husband has the airline's CEO on speed dial if we need documentation moved." She half turns to the audience, broadcasting confidence. Walker opens his suit jacket just wide enough for the gold and blue badge to wink in LED light. Phones zoom. A collective "oh" ripples. "Mrs. Whitfield, before we discuss seats, we'll clarify authority. Your husband, Governor Clay Whitfield, reports to the Justice Oversight Committee." He pauses, letting her brain run the math. "That committee's protective detail reports to me." The color in Margaret's face drains like wine down a sink. I wasn't aware awareness isn't prerequisite for accountability." Walker angles slightly so every row sees her. "Passengers, this individual has 1. Attempted to remove a minor from her assigned seat. 2. Hurled race-coded insults. 3. Threatened staff employment. 4. Leveraged political power for personal comfort. Am I missing anything?" Miss Tranlin's voice calm but loud. She also physically shoved the passenger's belongings. "At assault on property." "Thank you." Margaret's diamond bracelet clinks as she wrings her hands. "Director Walker, surely there's a misunderstanding." "I never." Walker cuts her with a single upraised palm, silent gavel. "We resolve misunderstandings here and now." He gestures toward Kara. "Start by addressing Ms. Williams directly." Margaret's eyes flick to the phones, the security officers now stationed at row 1, the captain, the agents. She grinds out the words. "Ms. Williams, I apologize if my actions appeared insensitive." Kara's voice is steady steel. "Appeared." One word draws a ripple of agreement from the gallery. Walker folds his arms. "Full accountability, Mrs. Whitfield. Not appeared, not if. State the action." Margaret swallows. "I was insensitive and discriminatory. I disrespected you because of your race and age. I'm sorry." The apology hangs brittle, awaiting judgment. Walker looks to Kara. She nods once, acceptance, not absolution. Walker returns his focus to Margaret. Now apologize to lead flight attendant Tran for threatening her job. Margaret obeys. The words taste of ash, but she spits them out. Lynn inclines her head, dignity intact. Walker turns to Captain Andreas. Captain, respecting your ultimate authority over the vessel, I propose the following remediation. Mrs. Whitfield is reseated to economy. Seat 2C is reassigned to a passenger with medical need. He raises a brow at Lynn. We have Mrs. Von Cow post-knee surgery row 33E struggling with swelling Lynn supplies instantly. Excellent. Margaret jolts. Economy director, that's a 14-hour flight. My situation. Walker's gaze slices objections. You remain on this aircraft only by the captain's grace and the leniency your victim has just shown. Economy is generosity. He taps his wrist mic. Agent's escort. Carter approaches politeness weaponized. This way, ma'am. He lifts Margaret's tote. She reaches for it, but he's faster, preventing any abrupt item retrieval. Lopez and Nguyen subtly flank funneling her down the aisle. Phones pivot to follow the procession like spotlights on a perp walk. A smattering of applause sparks growing until half the cabin is clapping. One passenger lets out a low whistle of vindication. Margaret's cheeks flame crimson. Each step is a lifetime. Row 33 emerges overhead, bins crammed bathroom line scent, faintly chemical. Mrs. Von Cow, frail eyes widening, is ushered forward by Lynn to claim a leather throne she never dreamed of. The swap completes. Harmony clicks back into place. First class exhales. Walker turns to Kara, slides into 2B. For a beat, father and daughter sit in suspended quiet noise of victory buzzing around them. Sorry about the grand entrance, he murmurs. Kara's laugh wobbles between tears and triumph. Worth the ticket price. She leans closer, voice low. Did you have to send her that far back? I spared her the cargo hold, he deadpans, then softens. You held your ground with grace. I couldn't be prouder. Captain Andreas steps to the aisle microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Cabin secured departures resumed. He shoots Walker a discreet nod of respect before returning to the cockpit. As seatbelts click, Walker powers down his phone. First time in months, he's done so voluntarily. He takes Kara's hand. 2 weeks. No crisis calls. She arches a brow. What if the world ends? He squeezes. Then it can wait till Tuesday. From economy, a single voice floats forward, the elderly woman's delighted exclamation. At legroom drawing smiles, even in row 1. Karma's echo chamber is fully pressurized. Engines spool. Kara rests her head on the window watching ground crew blur. Then whispers, Dad? Yeah, kiddo. Thanks for showing me what power's supposed to look like. Walker looks out the same window, sunrise, just beginning to pink the edge of sky. It's supposed to look like you, Kara. I'm just catching up. The engines roar, the runway streaks, and as VN7117 lifts into cloud, so does the last shard of doubt between father and daughter, replaced by the quiet altitude where dignity resides, unreachable by entitlement, invulnerable to turbulence, and finally wide enough for both of them to fly. Margaret Whitfield's exile is only 5 rows deep when the first clip hits Twitter, 37 seconds portrait mode, Anthony Walker's badge glinting as Margaret shrinks. By the time VN7117 crosses 10,000 feet, the video has 9 million views, captioned Governor's Wife Meets Secret Service Karma. Flight-wide Wi-Fi pings like popcorn. Passengers trade screens showing trending hashtags. Seat of shame. Window for all. Walker mic drop. Even the business class cabin cheers when a notification reads, Governor's press team declines comment pending review. Back in economy, Margaret sits rigid between a snoring tourist and an armrest that won't lift. Each refresh of her phone shows another angle of her own downfall. The aisle traffic is brutal parents, shepherding toddlers, beverage carts jostling her knees, strangers snapping covert selfies. Her diamond bracelet catches on the frayed seatbelt cover. No one helps her untangle it. Humiliation has 1,000 small teeth. First class, meanwhile, feels lighter than recycled air allows. Mrs. Von Cow reclines in 2C tears of gratitude, sliding down her cheeks as Lynn fits a plush pillow behind her post-op knee. A hedge fund analyst leans across to Kara, whispers, "You just saved my faith in humanity," then orders mocktails for the entire row. Someone starts a slow clap. It swells, rolls forward, fades into soft laughter. Community reborn at 30,000 feet. Kara unlocks her phone message avalanche, classmates reposting the clip debate, teammates adding fire emojis, her chemistry teacher tweeting civics lesson of the year. She types one sentence back, kindness wins, pass it on, then powers down. Tony watches Pride tugging hard. For once, he isn't analyzing threat matrices or scanning exits. He's memorizing the curve of his daughter's smile. Far below, cable news panels scramble. One host reads the passenger manifest live. Anthony Walker, the same Walker who foiled the presidential motorcade attack. A pundit counters bigger story: systemic privilege exposed at 40,000 feet. Advertisers salivate. Lawyers sharpen knives. Governor Whitfield's chief of staff frantically dials Margaret voicemail. The campaign's family values cornerstone now teeters on a trending topic. Captain Andreas visits row 2, offers personal thanks. Director, your restraint spared us a diversion. Tony simply nods. Respect enforces itself when modeled. The captain turns to Kara. "You've led by example, young lady." She blushes deeper than the cabin mood lighting. In row 33, turbulence bumps drinks. A ginger ale splashes Margaret's blouse. The tourist snores louder. She opens her camera to record evidence of mistreatment, but the lens faces her own tear-streaked reflection. She lowers the phone. There's no angle that redeems entitlement caught in 4K. Hours later, over the Adriatic, the seatbelt sign dings off. Tony unstraps, stands, and extends a hand toward Kara. "Walk the aisle with me." She takes it. Father and daughter stroll the length of the aircraft, a quiet parade of unity. Even in economy, murmured greeting ripples, nods of respect, fists over hearts. Margaret keeps her gaze fixed on the tray table, pretending fascination with safety cards she once weaponized. "Return trip to first class," Kara whispers. Did the world just change? Tony squeezes her fingers. At least our corner of it did. He resumes his seat, flips his phone's power switch, then hesitates, turns it off again. The universe can manage without him, until landing. Outside the window, dawn ignites the horizon, a gold seam splitting endless blue. Kara presses her forehead to the glass eyes, reflecting sunrise. Santorini's going to have a hard act to follow. Tony smiles softly. Sunsets are longer than viral clips. We'll make it count. And somewhere behind them, in row 34E, privilege sits alone, scrolling through consequences that no status upgrade can override. Entitlement tried to hijack seat 2A, but justice clipped its wings at 30,000 feet, and you were in the cockpit for every second. If that badge drop made your day, hammer the like, so the algorithm knows we're done giving bigotry a free upgrade. Share this video with one friend who still thinks connections outrank character, and flood the comments with his swoosh seed of shame. Plus, your flag to prove respect has no borders. Hit subscribe and ring the bell, because next week we're cracking open a courtroom standoff even wilder. A hospital CEO fires a nurse for whistleblowing, then gasps when her hidden body cam live streams straight into the evening news. You won't believe who walks in with the subpoena. Buckle up, karma's boarding early, and we've saved you a front row seat.